Julie here from Copy What I Use for Revision, and I thought being it was a nice day, I'd shoot this video today out the back garden on Dr. Chan's Total Recall System and how 3 reasons why it can help you with homeschooling your child. With us all over the world now being actually confined to the house and finding ourselves in the situation of homeschooling our children, I know that judging by Facebook posts etc, lots of parents are struggling to juggle everything and to actually fit in some homeschooling as well. So I thought I'd fit in some tips of why I personally think this book will help you to get your children on board with homeschooling, because I know to get them on board in the first place is often the most difficult part. So there are three reasons why I think that Dr. Chan's book is really valuable to use when it comes to homeschooling, and here's what I think. Number one, the learning techniques in here are different. Okay, it actually says on the GCSE Total Recall System, but I actually think that's misleading, because I think the memory hacks in here can actually be adapted to suit children of any age and to make learning a lot more interesting, a lot more fun. So in what way do I think they're different? Well, if we take an example, the first chapter covers what we call the alphabet system. And basically, in a nutshell, what that means is to learn long lists of information, or even shorter lists of information for that matter. Generally for lists you don't need to learn for a long time. It's just something you just need to learn for a short-term period, and then you can erase that list then and learn another list. So these are great for lists you don't need to know for a lifetime. And basically what it involves is you initially take about an hour of your time and you get your child to code up an alphabet system. Now by alphabet system, obviously there's 26 letters in the alphabet, so you will then have 26 different images attached to the alphabet. So for example, with mine, I keep mine easy and I sort of keep them the same theme. I mean, you can actually put A for apple, A for anything really, but I tend to do mine A for ant, B for bear, C for cow, D for dog. So I keep mine all an animal theme, but you know, you can choose with your child how they want to code it. So that's the first part where it's different. It becomes fun because you involve your child to code an alphabet up with different objects. And once they've learnt that code, you could even call it your secret code, that will be there then for a lifetime, that they can adapt to any list of information they ever need to learn throughout their school time, or even in fact university time or work time, because there is no age limit to when you can use these sort of techniques. Okay, so just supposing, for example, the first item on your list was, being as I'm in the garden, we'll say a flower. My first letter of the alphabet, so the one that I'm always going to apply to number 1 on the list, is going to be A. So mine is an ant. So I could sort of visualise a big huge ant eating a flower. I'm just going to keep this quite simple. I mean, obviously get creative with your own children and get them on board. I mean, you can imagine what sort of creations they'll come up with. But anyway, we'll keep it simple for this demonstration purpose and say that you've got an ant who's eating a flower. Let's just suppose, I mean, my dog is over there in the garden. Let's just suppose the next item on the list is a dog. Now we need to link the second letter of the alphabet, because we're now doing the second item on the list. So the second letter of the alphabet would be B, and mine is a bear. So I now need to attach the image of a dog to a bear. So what could I do? I could see that there was a big bear charging towards my dog Yolo in the garden. So that's a way of remembering the second one is a dog. So what you need to do then is link 1 and 2 up. So we've got an ant eating a flower, and let's just suppose that Yolo goes over to the flower and the bear comes pounding over to try and stop Yolo eating the ant. So you get my drift. Let's just do one more. This third one on my list could be a tree. I'm just doing that because it's a garden theme today. I mean, obviously get more inventive when you do yours. So it's just saying it's a tree. The third letter on my alphabet, and therefore the third one that I need to apply on my list, will be attaching a cow to a tree. So you could maybe have a cow attached to a tree and the tree is falling down with the weight of the cow. And then you could link it up with Yolo the dog, seeing the cow is going to fall over, he runs over to him, and you make, can you see what I'm making? You actually make a story out of everything on the list. So the first part of the process is to link, to code up the alphabet. So you can have 26 different items on a list that you can have. Code them up with images beginning with that letter. As I say, mine was A for ant, B for bear, C for cow. But get invented who you want. And then whatever items you're trying to learn on a list, you always attach the first, whatever the letter is corresponding to the the list. So for example, you can have A for the first one, you list B for the second, and so on. And then you make a story out of it. And then once you finish with that list, then you just erase that one and start off exactly the same objects will be for the alphabet, but you just code them then onto a brand new list. Okay, so that's where they're different. They're also fun because the second memory technique on you, and this happens to be one of my favourites actually, is called, just get it for you to see, the sequential story linking SSL system. And this is really good fun for your child because it's actually, this is slightly different to the alphabet. It's similar in that you're learning a list of information or facts. The difference being though, these might be things you want to learn for a lot longer. So say for example, you're revising March, ready for something exam you're going to take in June, then you can easily, this helps to store it to your long-term memory so it'll be easily then remembered. Or likewise, if you've got a lot younger child and you want them to retain this information for a long period of time, so when they're doing the GCSEs it's already there to access in like a virtual storage file in your head, then again, now is the age to start them off on these sort of techniques. So basically the way that, there's lots of ways of doing it, but with Dr. Chan he actually does it entering through a portal. I'll look to the camera. So he sort of makes it exciting, and the portal is basically a memorable image which gets you into the particular story. So that's what actually gets you diving into that particular story. So let's just see if I can find a particular example of you using this portal. Right, okay. For this one then, we'll actually use the example of, look, this is a psychology one on how the brain works, okay? So you've got depth cues we're dealing with there. So you've got monocular, that's how you say depth cues. You've got binocular depth cues, relative size, texture gradient, height in the plane, superimposition, and linear perspective, and stereoposis. Apologies if I'm saying it wrong, but I didn't do psychology. So basically the way that he's used this portal system and this storytelling system is like this. So basically he codes up the depth cues using the story sequential linking system. The portal he uses for depth cue is a swimming pool, which has got a snooker cue standing upright. So that's the cue element covered. He's standing by the side of the pool and somebody has carelessly discarded a pair of binoculars at the side of the pool. So that actually brings in the keyword, the next keyword, binocular. When I look into the pool, I see a ship's telescope on the bottom, monocular. First I pick up the binoculars and look through them to the other side of the pool. To my surprise, there is a stereo system on the side of the pool playing a record. I am concerned that it might get splashed with water. I attach a bit of emotion to strengthen the image as it is a bit bland. The sequence codes for stereopsis, which is the only binocular cue. Okay, so he's done it by linking it with the stereo, which is at the side of the pool, so that links him into stereopsis, which is the only binocular cue. Next I dive into the water and pick up the ship's telescope. I climb out of the pool to find Superman standing next to me cuddling up an imp. That is to link us into superimposition. Now I'm sure you can imagine that any child of any age, if you suddenly looked, even an adult for that matter, and you see that word superimposition, it's a really lot to get your head around. But if you're trying to visualize it as Superman, so that's the super, and then cuddling an imp, I'm sure you'd agree that any child of any age could then remember superimposition, because it's Superman and an imp. I'm amazed to find that he's about 5 times taller than me, so that's how you're bringing in relative size. And he grabs me by the hand, pulls me down a steep slope, which is cover in carpet. So that is to put the texture gradient into it. Because I mean, obviously a steep slope is a gradient, and then the carpet then is the texture, so texture gradient. He wants to show me a massive linear accelerator he has made. The beam comes out in the end of it and burns into a thick blocks of perspex. So that's linking us then to linear perspective. So think of perspex, linear perspective. And he points upwards at an airliner going overhead, height in the plane. Now what he says to do then is to run through that sequence a couple of times yourself, but obviously the best thing for you to do as well is to make up your own story, because obviously you and your children can have fun making up a story to learn this information, because I know from experience my daughter's doing AS in psychology and it is a really, really difficult subject to take in. So if you can actually chunk it down into keywords and fun stories, what you're going to actually do is not just make it easier to take in, but you're also going to store it to your long-term memory, because it's a fact you will always learn an image and retain an image easier than long chunky words. Okay, so the secret is to actually break that word down into images that are easier to remember. Remember superimposition, Superman and an imp. That's much easier to remember than that word. And then obviously just have a link between them then. And then the third one he covers then is Room of the Minds system, which again is a lovely system. Is where you attach things, as you'd imagine. You actually put them into rooms in your house or into an imaginary house. And this is an old technique that dates back to Roman and Greek times. They were always impressing people with their memory skills with the room. And those of you who follow my video and my blog will see I do lots of different videos and blogs covering these different memory methods. So in a nutshell, that's why I think that this Dr. Chan's GCSE Total Recall system isn't just for revision, and it isn't just for people taking GCSEs, and I feel quite strongly about that, because to me these memory techniques can be applied from a very young age and then used right throughout their school time. And the great thing about it is you can actually make learning then like a big game when you're homeschooling, because I know as a mum myself it's really, really difficult to juggle all these plates in the air. And especially when you want to avoid any of them crashing down and smashing on the floor, because like most of you out there, I'm sort of multitasking. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing something else. So I think the more sort of cheats, or I don't even like to call it cheating really, because it is quite a clever system, but I think the more shortcuts that we can find, the tricks of the trade to make our jobs easier and quicker, then the better. And if we can get children on board to learn in the first place by making it less repetitive and making it more fun, then I think we've sort of won half the battle before we start. Okay, so that's my reasons why I think this particular book will be a godsend if you find yourself in a position of homeschooling your children, or even trying to get them on board with getting some revision done ready for when they go back to school, because those exams will kick in before you know it, and the more they can get in their heads now during this valuable period of time, the better. Okay, so that's it from me. I've been Julie for Copy What I Use for Revision. Again, as always, I just want to make you aware that if you click on any of my links, there is a chance I could receive an affiliate commission. But rest assured, you won't pay any more whatsoever for the product, because any eligible commissions get paid to me by the product owner, meaning you pay exactly the same. It is also covered by a 30-day, no quibble, full money back guarantee. So there really is nothing whatsoever to learn. It's completely risk-free to try out these alternative revision methods to see if they work for you. I'm willing to stake that they will work for you if you try them out, because I have no end of fun with them. And what's good as well is, it's a long time since I've been in school, so when I'm trying to help my children with their sort of home studying, I find it a godsend for me to be able to try and take in this information quickly in order that I can help them through it as well. Okay, so that's it for today's homeschooling tip video. What I'll do is I'll pop a link on the bottom if you want to find out any more information. I've actually carried out a full review on this book, which I'll pop a link to at the bottom, and I'll also pop a link if you just want to go straight ahead and go have a risk-free try of the book. Okay, so that's it from today's video. I'll probably make another one tomorrow. Bye for now.